Welcome back to News here on the Rise News. Now, Nigeria is one of the world's largest oil-producing countries, and the main source of income comes from the exploration and the sales of crude oil and related products. However, this vital economic sector has over the years come under threat as a result of incessant activities of oil thieves, pirates, pipeline vandals, and illegal refining taking place around the creeks of the Niger Delta. This has undoubtedly made it difficult for Nigeria to meet up the daily production quota allocated to it by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, as most of the products are being siphoned by vandals who are the enemies of the states. Shobo Abayomi, who has been following developments in the oil-rich Niger Delta regions, joins us now to speak on the lingering debacle, conflict, and open hostility between the security forces and private security vendors. I want to say good to have you here on Newsday.
It's an honor to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you very much. Let's get it started. Oil exploration in the Niger Delta. A lot of people, some are saying that things are close to normalcy right now as private security outfits are beginning to restore calm to the particular area. Some say it's still very volatile. Some say it beats their imagination how things deteriorated to this point. As a means to actually start off this conversation, give us a background. How are things right now in the Niger Delta?
Thank you very much for the question. To start with, I think I would love to give some kudos to former President Muhammadu Buhari, because at the twilight of his administration, Nigeria was at the brink of death. We were at the brink of total insolvency, because this crude oil accounts for over 80% of the budget we write year in, year out. It's not gainsaying that this is the mainstay of our economy.
Right, but just permit me to interject, because when you say you want to commend him, but it was under his administration that oil theft rose to over 90%. So how do you commend someone that allowed things to deteriorate to that point?
I'll commend him because towards the twilight of his administration, he discovered that we were losing so much money. We were even losing our rep in the international market. We are supposedly the giant of Africa. So last year, August, he brought in the private security companies. And from the meager 500,000 barrels output, towards the last quarter of last year, when this private security company, Tantita specifically came in, we were able to increase our output from 500 to 1.1 million. And right about now, Nigeria is doing 1.6 million barrels daily. And I believe if we can consolidate the prescription we have on ground right now, because it seems we have a working formula right now, we can be able to scale the excellence of 2 million and above. OPEC will increase your quota if you can meet up. So I would love to commend President Buhari to have taken that step. And from what we've seen so far from the current administration, from the body language of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he sent some delegates, the star-studded delegates of the NSA, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, the NNPC GMD, Mele Kyari, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Enike Nlopobri, and some other ministers. They went to the Niger Delta region a couple of weeks ago to assess the situation on ground, which is unprecedented. We have not seen that from any government in recent years, to send, such delegates to the region to bring some succor to the people. So from what we have so far, from the formation on ground, I think we are on the right path.
All right, Shobo, let me take you up on that. I was going to ask you another question, but on your last take, talking about specifics, about 2 weeks ago, specifically Delta State, there's an area called Koko where the NNPC led a delegation of some government authorities there. And of course, they discovered some illegal oil tank farms as regard that. But my question is, these tank farms, illegal tank farms, oil tank farms, have been operating for years. So why was NNPC jolted into action all of a sudden? You had the wherewithal to be monitoring these groups for a long time. So why is it now that they took up the gauntlet to do anything about it?
Thank you for that question. When you look at the time frame of things, from August last year, that was when Nigeria started having this significant approach towards the elimination of crude oil theft. Maybe we'll blame the docility of our government in the past, but from August last year, we can actually monitor the progress. When Tantita Security Services came on board last year, that was when we started discovering some of these revelations, like the over 4 kilometers underwater pipeline that was discovered by Tantita Securities. So these guys are really the game changer, the security companies, because it seems our security operatives are indolent. They cannot get this job done. So these guys are the game changers. So if we want to have this discussion right now, then let us start from when we started making the significant progress, which is August last year, when the real game players came on board. And with the superlative performance the security companies have put up, now look at the political and socio-economic discussions we are having. We never used to have these sort of discussions before until these guys came on board to bring some sanity to our oil and gas sector.
Okay, when you speak like this, I am usually baffled when I hear issues like this. Reason being that this is the golden goose that lays the golden egg. How did we allow it come to this point? And are we saying that it's a reflection of the incompetence of governments? Because if the government knows that their primary source of income comes from oil, and they keep allowing it to be plundered, because according to the Speaker of the House of Reps, Tajuddin Abbas, he said that in the last 11 years, $46 billion, putting into context 16.25 trillion naira, has been stolen in the last 11 years. Questions are being asked. Is the corruption that deep? And are we that reckless that no one seems to be doing anything, because you keep hampering on what Tantita has actually done, which is a direct, which is a direct affront on our security agencies, because the security agencies on their own, when they also went to the Senate in a particular hearing, claimed that the ministries, departments, and other auxiliary units are exceptionally responsible for the oil theft you're beginning to see. So it only begs to answer one of two things: that for years upon years, government has always looked away. Because while the entire world, 2021 into 2022, we're celebrating massive revenues from oil sales, Nigeria, that I know, we're still in the red. We're still claiming deficit, while everyone that we're involved in the oil value chain, we're celebrating world over.
Thank you very much for that question. I think I'll put that blame on the past government. The past government have lacked the strong will to curb this menace. Because when you look at some of all these seizures and discoveries, I'd love to make a reference to one of the latest discoveries of Tantita. These guys discovered over 4 kilometers of underwater pipeline, a 48-inch export line right behind a Navy checkpoint. So I'm sure well-discerning Nigerians can make their deductions. What does that mean? When you are finding a well-orchestrated crime scene right behind of your military posts, that screams complicity. We are all involved in this. Our security operatives, they are complacent, they are involved, they are complicit. Because when you look at the sophistication and the funds required to steal crude oil, I don't think any of us in this room can afford it. Yes, because for you to lay a pipeline over 4 kilometers underwater, it requires money. It requires connection, because our security operatives were right there. So I think it has been government deficits. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has always made it known he didn't come in through any godfather. He contested because he discovered we are lacking the right leadership, the leadership deficit. So I want to believe with this new administration that we have now, I want to believe President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to fish out these perpetrators.
All right, Shobo, if I may come in. Okay, let me just come in now. All right, please, let me just come in. There's also been talks to have his, Tantita's contract renewed with this new government as it were. But let me just say, when we talk about national security, is it morally right to have just one security, firm handling the whole of that business, the oil prospecting, security contract, and what has the impact been so far? Yes, you talked about you've paid low in tribute through that, but don't forget there were agitation by several other indigenous Niger Delta groups to have a share of that lucrative contract. We're talking about 40 billion, plus naira here. So when you have scenarios like that, it's a panacea to create more conflicts within the same people you expect to overlook all of these security issues. And of course, the age-long complacency about the military forces right there has been on for a long time. Complicity as well, to a large extent, but you can't point to specific areas, cases as it were. So in that context, how would you, assess all of that regarding that? In 2 minutes, please, less than 2 minutes.
Thank you. These so-called contracts we're talking about, I think it is being awarded to about 3 different companies, not only Tantita. And when you look at these detractors, I call them detractors, the people agitating for this contract, we are talking about well-known international organizations here that have been saddled with the responsibility of safeguarding our critical oil and gas assets. That is Tantita and the rest of the people. So this is not the time for entitlements. This is not the time for political correctness. These are people that have both the human proficiency and the technical proficiency to carry out the job. Go to Abia State, go to Imo.
Are you saying
even
that the
Rivers,
Navy, the Army, the Air Force, the Civil Defense do not have, the Nigerian police do not have this level of expertise? It's just unfortunate we're out of time. Because it's a big question.
It is a big question.
It is a big question.
I would love to dive into it. I wish we had all day.
Okay.
I wish we had all day. I wish we had
I
all
want
day.
to say thank you very much for joining us.
I wish we had all day. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Right.
Thank you.